Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your girl JoJo, and I'm here with the review for Love and Marriage Huntsville, the reunion season 1 reunion. Somebody actually let me know that it was a continuation season. Thank you for that information. And I have to go back and renumber all of my episodes because I thought it was season 2. But I hope you guys are doing good today. It is Monday. I want to thank you all so much for being patient. I'm actually just getting back into town from my celebration of my line anniversary with my sorority sisters, Delta. And we were in New Orleans. We celebrate in a different city every year. And we ate and we talked and we laughed and we just enjoyed each other's company. We celebrated each other. Extra special this year because we have experienced and near-death experience, and we also had a line sister die in January, shortly after giving birth to her twins, who are alive and well and healthy. But yeah, this year just hit different. The celebration hit different because we realized that nothing is promised, and not even each other. We could be here today, gone tomorrow. So we did it up extra hard, and I was tired, so I had to recuperate, and here I am today. So thank you for waiting on me. So the first thing I want to talk about is how everybody looked. Everybody looked okay. If I had to pick my favorite look, my look is going to be Kimmy. Loved her earrings. I like the dress. I always like Kimmy's hair in a bob, and I thought that Kimmy looked nice. Melody's dress was not flattering to me, but I know that she is pregnant, so options probably are few for her, but I've seen Melody look better in confessionals. I do not like that blonde hair on her. It is too platinum blonde. The wig was not laying right, and it's a blunt cut, and I feel like Melody looks better in layers and shorter haircuts to me. Tisha's hair was beautiful. Tisha's makeup was beautiful. Tisha's dress reminded me of something from the cotillion or a pageant, and I just don't think it was appropriate for a reunion show. But other than that, everybody looked fairly beautiful. The men looked handsome enough. And let's just get to what happened during the reunion. I feel like it's about to be a lot going on around me. So one of the first things that we get is some clarity on the situation between Martell and Melody. So there's been rumors that Melody was a side chick when they first got together. Melody lets us know, baby, I was never a side chick. When we started dating, I actually had a sorority meeting that same night. And this was funny because this actually does happen coming from somebody who's in a sorority. You ask everybody, hey, do y'all know, insert name here, in this case, Martell Holt. Does anybody know him? Is anybody messing with him? I got a date with him tonight. Are we good? And you have to do that, especially when you go to a smaller school or a big school where the community of Black people might be small. You got to ask questions. Girl, is this your man? You got to find out. And so he was nobody's man, but Melody was encouraged to go on a date with him because he kept a job. And he was a nice guy. And after that, their relationship just progressed forward. We get some clarity also on how Martell really feels about Melody being in the spotlight. It's not that he wants to be in the spotlight, because even being on stage for the reunion, he's nervous. He doesn't mind allowing Mel to do most of the talking and most of the engagements. He just wants appreciation and respect for him and what he does. So just saying a thank you. This is when Melody stands up and makes a big production. Thank you, husband, for all you have done, all of that. And Martell laughed it off, but it kind of made me uncomfortable because I'm just like, well, it's not really funny, because if he was to laugh at something you felt some type of way about, then, you'd be mad at him. But he laughed it off, so shoot, what I'm getting upset for. Then we move into them being fathers and how all of them have been there for their children. And I thought that part was good. That's one thing I have liked about the show, seeing Martell interact with his kids, seeing Maurice interact with Monster, and even that crazy Marsau, even though he is not the most hands-on dad, seeing his interactions and his presence with his children as well, although he could do better. But we ain't going to talk about that too long. We're going to get to the meat and potatoes of it, which is the breakdown of Tisha and Mel's relationship. So primarily this review is about the Holts and the Scotts. And y'all, I'm bracing myself because this whole thing was just draining to watch. I was yelling at my phone because I was watching it on my phone. And I was just like, and because I can't edit, I have to stay on topic. So if I find myself getting confused, y'all excuse me. I'm doing the best I can, but it was a lot to unpack for this reunion. So one of the first things we discuss is, these are my notes. One of the first things we discuss is the blueprint. So when Tisha does her Mommy Business podcast, I want to say there was an episode called The Blueprint. I don't believe she named the podcast The Blueprint. I think the name of the podcast is Mommy Business. And Mel felt some type of way about the fact that she was using the blueprint because formerly Tisha had laughed at Mel for saying that she had the blueprint when her marriage wasn't even going well. So how are you going to give me the blueprint when you don't have a blueprint? And Tisha says that when she named it the blueprint, it had nothing to do with Mel. She wasn't trying to copy her. Basically, she was just trying to say that she had the blueprint for how she wanted to live her life. She found her own blueprint. And so now she's taking that blueprint and putting it out there to other women so she can show them how fabulous it is. And why would I why would I want the blueprint and be the carbon copy of somebody else's life when I can be myself and my own self is so fabulous? Well, all of that would be great if it were really true. And my problem with Tisha throughout this reunion is that she was not ready. When you are on a reality show and you have to come to a reunion, you have to get ready, especially if you are not skilled in the art of clapback or reading the way that Melody, as well as her husband, are. And Tisha wasn't ready. So when it came to that whole blueprint situation, one of the rules of reality TV is you got to know how to spin stuff. You got to know how to spin it to make it work in your favor. Somebody didn't teach Tisha that. If I were Tisha, I would have been like, oh yeah, I got the blueprint from Mel. I thought when Mel brought up the blueprint, it was real cute or whatever. And so I took that and I kind of spun in my direction. I kind of made it work for me. She had her blueprint for me and how she laid out her business plan in her marriage. And I was like, cool, maybe I can come up with a blueprint myself and lay out the business plan for my relationship and my marriage. So everybody's blueprint wasn't the same, but I appreciated her for dropping that idea on me and leave it at that. But no. She tried to make it seem like Mel had nothing to do with why she began to talk about the blueprint, but she did. So that moves Mel into saying that she gets tired of people acting as if the things that she does are crazy or silly, or that her branding herself was her being bougie, or she shouldn't have been doing all of that, because now everyone else is doing the same things. Don't say you don't like what I do. Don't laugh at what I do and then turn around and do what I do. Tisha doesn't believe that she's tried to copy Mel in any way. She doesn't feel like Mel has had any influence on her. She was always going to get a real estate license. She was always around successful women. She was always going to do it big. That was the plan. Mel doesn't really feel like that. I feel like you started up in your game, in your career, when you met me, when you started fooling with me, when I became your friend. So my thing is, stop acting like you weren't around me trying to learn and trying to gain and trying to benefit off the things I was doing for yourself so that you could then do them. Tisha doesn't agree with that. Egypt, who is the host, who I thought did a fairly good job, Egypt says, so basically what you're doing, Melody, is you are martelling Tisha, which is funny because it kind of goes back to Martell wanting to Melody to admit that he had pretty much made her who she was. And Melody doesn't think it's funny. Okay, she's not interested. I tell you who was getting their laugh on real hard over there in the corner when it really didn't have nothing to do with him, and that was Maurice. Maurice, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? This situation is between the Holtz and the Scott number ones, not the Scott number twos. I know you love your sister-in-law. I know you felt like you need to take up for her, but all that, yeah, you need to stand up and say thank you. He had got on my nerves with that because I was just like, let Tisha fight her own battle. She obviously wanted to step into the ring, so let her have it. The referee can't help. So Tisha stands up and is just like, Thank you, Mel, girl. You want the credit? Let me. Thank you, Melody, for making me who I am. Thank you, girl. So it was a little antagonistic. It had Mel feeling a little tight. But I do think that Mel kind of wanted Tisha to say, hey, I appreciate you for what you did for me. I appreciate you for telling me the game. And Mel tried to act like, okay, her and Martell are so different. I don't need all that glory. I don't need all the appreciation. I just want you to keep it real and quit saying that you didn't like what I did. Girl, don't try to switch it now. You see, but she did a good job trying to switch it, but not good enough, because you did want her to tell you thank you. You did want her to admit that you had put her on, and there's nothing wrong with that, girl. Just admit it. But stop acting like you're not like your husband, because you and Martell are one and the same, and that's why you all are together. Okay, don't do this, Mel. Don't do this. Now, Tisha was still wrong, because again, Tisha loves to act like she doesn't know what's going on, and I didn't do this, I didn't do that. What are you talking about? I was been going to get my real estate license. I was always interested. Girl, you may have always been interested, but you did come to Mel so that you could get the game. Now stop it. Stop it. Everybody say they real, but they not. Nobody. Especially not on that stage. It's only really one real person, and we're going to get to her in a minute. So Kimmy, when all of this is going on, does laugh and say that Mel is absolutely right. They were talking about her. They were laughing at her. They were calling her a post queen, because she was always posting about her businesses and her galas and all the stuff she was doing. And now they do kind of do the same thing. They didn't realize then the importance of branding, but maybe they realize it now. And Egypt wants to know, Kimmy, what is it with you and Mel? Well, basically, what it was with me and Mel was exactly what I told y'all at the beginning of this season. Kimmy and Mel's issue with each other has a lot to do with the protectiveness that they have previously had over Tisha. And I told y'all, watch them two end up falling out, and watch it has something to do with wanting to be Tisha's friend or Tisha's protector. And it didn't go exactly like that, but very similar. Kimmy says she had a tendency to pop off at Mel over things that didn't really necessarily have anything to do with her, but she would speak on it. And then both of them would be like, it don't have nothing to do with you. You can step back. And so she needed to step back. Her and Mel had a discussion about what the other person had done wrong, what they felt like they could do to move it forward. And from then, they just been trying to walk it like they talk it and move on. Egypt wants to know why, in Kimmy's opinion, Mel and Tisha can't do the same thing. Well, Mel and Tisha can't do the same thing because, even though Kimmy doesn't say this, I'm going to say it. Mel and Tisha are very good at pointing out the flaws in one another, and they don't point out their own flaws. But for whatever reason, they only do that with each other. They can do it when they're talking. Well, actually, no. I take that back. No. I'm just going to go with what I said. They're good at pointing out flaws in others, not necessarily good at recognizing the flaws they may have in the detriment of the relationship themselves. And when they get together, all they do is point fingers. Nobody really 100% cops to everything. Kimmy says, look, I'm 100% real. You're not going to catch me not being real. You're not going to catch me not having my receipts, because I remember well. And when it came to Mel, I just had to admit what I had done. I admitted to her what I felt like she had done. She admitted to Kimmy, and maybe that's what it is. Maybe Melody needs somebody to keep it real on their end first, and then she's able to return. And maybe with Tisha, it's the same thing. But when the two of them talk, it never gets anywhere. Tisha is a large part of the problem, because she does play the victim. She cried so much on this reunion after she was getting into it with the hoax. So I believe Kimmy and Mel's relationship is able to work because they hashed it. They were 100% direct with each other, and they were able to move forward. I don't think that's ever going to happen with Mel and Tisha. So the rest of the reunion is basically about Tisha not being ready and Marsau letting Tisha get steam roasted and cooked, all in the name of positivity and not being ghetto. So let's get to it. So Mel is quick on her feet. And I'm the same way. I grew up in a clapback household. So if anybody says anything to me, it doesn't take me long to think of a response. It doesn't take me long to cut you down if needed. It's not a good personality trait, but I do have it in my back pocket if I have to use it. But I try not to use it often. So in addition to that, Mel and Martell are the type of couple who fall out, and when they fall out, baby, it's guns blazing. You can talk about Martell over there, you can talk about Mel over there, and honey, they'll just be sitting over there tee-heeing and giggling with you like you're not talking about their own husband or you're not talking about their own wife. But as soon as they get back on the same page, as soon as the duo is back together, it's F everybody. They will act like they never said those things to you. And even if they did, it don't matter because we are the dynamic duo. It's about us, and it's always Team Holt. Melody even told us that in this reunion. So I used to work for people like this. Like the bosses would get into it. They would try to get associates on their side, on either side of the coin. And then once you got on that side and thought y'all was cool and thought y'all was kind of going to be like good, if anything ever happened employee wise, they were going to have your back. If the other boss didn't agree, that's never how it happened. Those two would get cool with each other again, and then they would tag team to get you out the door if need be. So when you're dealing with people like that, especially couples, you got to be real careful what you say, real careful what you do, and recognize and understand at the end of the day, they're still in a marriage. They could tell you all about their life. They could dog this man out right in front of you. But when they get good with the man, they good with the man. That's why I say I don't like getting in my friends' business, and I don't think you should tell your friends too much of your business when it comes to a relationship, because when you over it, they're not. And that is a lot of what we're seeing on this stage as well. So Tisha obviously didn't go back and watch all the episodes because she wasn't ready for them to bring up her BS. So one of the first things that they bring up is the conversation that Melody had with Tisha regarding the grandmother and them speaking to each other again. And when Tisha dropped a bomb that your husband was buying BMWs, and I have the receipt for that. Well, Egypt thought that was very cutting and wanted to know where it came from. Well, Tisha says it came from the fact that they were spilling these allegations about my husband. I felt some type of way about that. I also felt some type of way about her smiling about my grandmother. And so I said what I said. And yes, I said it to hurt her. And it just was what it was. Well, Melody didn't really appreciate that, and she feels like she wasn't the one talking about Marcel. It was Martell. Martell's sitting right here. You can ask him what he said about your husband. Tisha kind of skims past that. And Martell is just like, look, I did say those things about your husband because I don't lie. I said what I said. But as far as the BMWs and what happened with the BMWs, let me make this clear. I have never bought a car for anybody but my wife. Mel and Martell were using semantics during this whole scene. So what I think happened is, I believe that Melody expressed to Tisha that Martell had purchased a car, okay, that she later found out was a car for the mistress. The car was not an exact BMW. It was some other make and model maybe. And he either rented it for her or, maybe gave her some money on it. But either way, the car was for her and Martell had something to do with it. Because did you notice they kept saying matching is same model, same vehicle, same style, same color. Girl, matching is matching, okay? It may not be an exact match, but if it's the same family of BMWs that maybe Martell has and he put some money on it, then he was involved with getting his mistress a car. Y'all can sit there and play semantics all you want, but I believe it. I believe Mel is guilty of telling Tisha too much. And Tisha, not being a good friend, this was a bad move on her part, retaliated and used it against her. But Mel, you were wrong for telling your marital business in that manner to your friend. And you see, it was no discussion about that. So I wanted Egypt to be like, well, Mel, did you send her a text message? But they never got into it. But I noticed the little things that were going on stage. Did y'all notice? Do y'all believe that Martell bought that car? I believe Martell either bought the car, rented it, or put a good portion of the money down on it for her to have it. But that's just me. So once we move past the car situation, we also move into the fact that Tisha made that comment at the anniversary dinner about them having problems in their marriage and how they overcame it. Egypt wants to know, why, Tisha, did you feel the need to ask that question during that time? Again, Tisha wasn't ready. Well, she felt the need to ask that question because her and Marsal were talking about things that they went through in their marriage and how they got through it. And so we were having a moment. So I asked them the question. Melody wants to know, so pray tell, what problems did you guys go through in your marriage that you had to get over in the first 5 years? What problems was that? Here come Tisha, not ready. Um, who's asking the questions here? I mean, is Egypt the host? Are you the host? Well, I'm asking the questions, but I just asked you a question. I just want to know what y'all went through. So Tisha's tongue-tied, more tongue-tied than usual. And she also says, honey, sweetie, you can go back and watch the episode. I don't have to tell you. And I was just like, Tisha, girl, you got to come more prepared than this. Don't let these people get up here and make you look a fool on TV. Well, actually, you made yourself look a fool. Because then the whole team, they begin to tag team Tisha. And I know some people don't see it as tag teaming because Tisha does have a husband, and you're right. Okay, I would say that I wasn't even mad at them for going at Tisha the way they did, because she did have a husband sitting right next to her, and her husband was on mute, which was very unfortunate because they went in on her. They went completely in on her. They asked her why she brought it up. She didn't have no answer. She didn't have no reason. That is when it comes out again that Tisha was upset about the allegations that were made. And Martell said, there is no allegation. That's what happened. I don't tell lies. Okay, so while you're talking about what we experienced in our marriage, we're not the only ones. Y'all experienced it. Y'all had experience too. And if you want the receipts to come out while we're talking about receipts, I can put them out there. And that's when Tisha says, oh, okay, so were you there? And Martell said, as a matter of fact, I was there. And after that, y'all, we got a whole different Tisha. We got a whole different Tisha. They start yelling stuff out about, well, weren't you the one asking? Was Melody trying to sleep with Marsal? Didn't you ask Marsal that? And it was just a mess, y'all. Like, all kind of stuff was going back and forth. Marsal was finally trying to speak up a little bit, but not enough. Martell was continuing to say that he never said this, he never said that, but your husband was involved in something, and yes, I was there. Melody never addresses this whole BMW and text message situation. It's just a mess on stage. I couldn't figure out what was going on. Here comes Maurice, okay? He wants to be the gang of positivity himself. He has on his superhero cape. Man, how is this helping marriages? How is this helping marriages? And Martell was like, what are you talking about? I'm not trying to help a marriage right now. I'm trying to fight dirty for dirty the way they've been fighting with me. Yeah, but you can't say 1 minute you want to uplift, and then the next minute you're not uplifting. I wanted Kimmy, and Kimmy, girl, get your man. Get your man. This don't have nothing to do with what we're talking about. This has to do with the Scotts and the Holtz. Tisha got a husband sitting beside her with the mush mouth. He could speak up for her if he wanted to. It is not your job. In a minute, I'm going to start looking at you like, why you taking up for her so tough? If I was Kimmy, I would have been like, baby, this don't got nothing to do with us. What you need to do is preserve your energy and keep that heat for your ex-wife, because that's who you haven't had it with. But why you sitting here telling everybody else what they need to do? So everybody just kind of ignores Maurice because we don't want to hear what he has to say. Then they take a break. Tisha is crying because of what just came out. She feels like, again, Marsal didn't say anything. Like, you never say anything. And Marsal is just like, I told you before we left the house to shut up. And I was just like, oh. Okay, so you're not mad at the host. You mad at Tisha. Got it. I told you before we left to be quiet. I told you I wasn't doing this. We have daughters, okay? And what does this serve us? What does this show our daughters, our children, about how we are supposed to behave? You think y'all want to get on TV and that ghetto? This is our moment. Let me tell you something, Marsal. You can miss me with the I have a dream speech, because you need to address to your wife, the way I've been saying for the past 5 episodes, the fact that there are some allegations going on about you that you refuse to cop to. All you say is, it never happened. I never experienced well, you don't say it. You allow Atisha to say it never happened. I never experienced infidelity in my marriage. All the while, you know the Holtz have something on you, and you try to get cool with them and make sure they don't say nothing, but then you're not even cool with your wife. Like, your wife is trying to egg it out of them because your wife knows that something is going on. Y'all two not even on the same page, but yet you expect everybody else to get on board with what it is that y'all are trying to do. No, and no. I think Marcel just needs to admit to Tisha whatever happened so they can try to move on from it, because, I mean, what? We just gonna keep doing this whole dog and pony show? And Martell, drop the tea, drop the receipts. I'm tired of y'all threatening. I'm tired of everybody threatening what they could do and what information they could have and what they could say. Just put it out there. You keep saying you're not trying to ruin their marriage. You're not trying to get nothing started. It's already about ruin, because Tisha knows that there's something that you're not telling her, and she knows that something has gone on with her husband. The only reason I can think that Martell won't drop the tea is because it will also put out more evidence on him. They probably will start going back and forth because obviously the whole group has been talking too much. This reminds me of Why Did I Get Married? Maurice and Kimmy, if I was y'all, I'd find some new friends, because this ain't what you want. But they was probably going on double dates with their side pieces. Who knows? But anyway, y'all, I'm trying to think of what I forgot. That was really it. We're going to see what happens on next week. We're going to see if any actual tea is dropped. I don't think it will be, but I'm just going to say, if you're not going to drop it, then shut up. And Tisha, if you're not going to come at your husband with the same type of heat, then you be quiet too, because you up there fighting a losing battle and he ain't even in it with you. Y'all like, comment, and subscribe. I don't got nothing else to say. I'm tired. I'm glad the show is over. Bye.